Welcome to Heroes World TGIF. You have made it through another week, and thank goodness it's Friday. Friday, I think, is the best day of the week. Well, maybe second best, because Wednesday, New Comic Day, is usually maybe my favorite day of the week, right? Jesse, yours too?
Oh, yeah, of course. Wednesday's my favorite day.
Yeah, but hopefully with this video, you guys will start making Friday be an even better part of your week, because we're bringing you Heroes World TGIF, a celebration of all the cool things that are coming into our shop. And we've put together a great show for you. We've got a couple of segments that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. First up is going to be our comic book spotlight section. And this is where we pick a comic and we spotlight it. Next up, we're going to do our continuing series on creepy comics to read for Halloween. That's right, it is October, and we want you to be scared while reading your books. New segment coming up is Lights, Camera, Action Figures. That's right, we're going to spotlight some action figures and great collectibles that we get into the shop. And the last segment for today's episode is This Is How We Roll, and we're talking about miniature games, board games, any types of games, and we've got some cool games for you today. But comics is our first love and our first passion. So, Jesse, what did you read from this week, comic-wise, that you're enjoying?
New releases this week. I've read Harley Quinn, the animated series. It's a continuation of the TV show that HBO put out. So it follows Harley Quinn after she picks up Poison Ivy and they leave Kite Man at the altar. So it's a little continuation, a little segue into the next season. Also this week I read a comic from last week. It was actually your recommendation. It was A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance.
Right on.
Oh my. This book is great. I can't believe I slept on it. There's not much dialogue in this first issue. I'm kind of confused, but the way it's drawn, the way the dialogue that is in the book comes across, it's just amazing. And the ending
sucks you in.
Yes, and then the ending. Can I spoil it? Do you want me to spoil it?
Let's maybe not spoil it because it's still only a week out. But wow, like I said, it really, like, boom, wow.
I have so many questions after reading that first issue. That's all I'll leave it at then.
All right, right on. So for me, this week I delved into Shang Chi #5, and that's Shang Chi taking on the Marvel Universe. And Shang Chi just kind of blew up for the MCU. Our very own Simu Liu, a fellow Torontonian, a Canadian boy, in the lead role. And there's been a lot of buzz on the character itself. So this week I decided to check out that first issue. Let me bring up the cover for you because it's a very, very cool cover. It's a little bit misleading. It says meet the new Iron Man, and we've got Shang-Chi. Looks like Tony Stark's armor is going on him. Right now, I'm going to tell you right now that doesn't happen in the book. This is one of those things of the cover just doing it. But the cover is actually what really sucked me in, because I have been following the series, and in every issue, he's fighting a different Avenger Marvel Universe character. Now, Iron Man, I got to say this, in the past was one of my favorite characters, and I'm probably one of the only people on the planet that really disliked Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Iron Man. I think it changed the character for me a lot. But this one, I knew he was going to fight Iron Man. And let's face it, if there is a titled character fighting another hero, you know for a fact that guy isn't going to lose. But it was just really cool to see. We had something going on in the book which caused the two to come to blows. And I've got some of the interior art of Iron Man just crashing in on Shang-Chi's base of operations. And look at Shang-Chi not missing a beat. He's just diving right in. The art is very kinetic. The action was very cool. And it did feel like really legit. Like Shang-Chi, busts out the weapons to fight Tony Stark. And Tony Stark's like, you can't take me on. I'm Iron Man. And he's like, oh, yeah? Well, what if I've got adamantium laced weapons? And here we see him just knocking Tony Stark up. And then in this one, I don't even know how he pulled it off, but he somehow removes Iron Man's gauntlet to go toe-to-toe with him. And now they are going hand to hand. So a really cool issue. If you like Shang-Chi or you've liked the movie, highly recommend the book. Very, very kinetic. As I said, the art was really cool. And it's good because we're seeing all the different Avengers. And it's not quite following everything that's in the movie, but there are little hints about the crime family and his kind of, shall we say, what his father was up to, but where it is now in the Marvel comic realm. So again, very, very cool story. I really, really liked it. And I do recommend it, obviously, because I chose to read it. So yeah, look at this again. Cover, super, super cool. Again, I think it's just worth it just right there for that.
Question for you.
Oh yeah, go ahead, man.
Does it follow the current MCU comic timeline, or is it set apart from what's going on in the comics right now? Because there's a lot going on in the comics. Is it
there's
just
a lot going on in the comics. This one is definitely just cemented in the Marvel comic world, but they did use some of the elements that you saw in the movies. It's not the same movie timeline at all, but it does bring up his father and also his kind of, shall we say, inheritance of the family business, right? So again, it's very cool. You don't need to know much about the character. Like if you've only seen the movie, you can definitely dive right on into it and be totally up to speed on that. So again, highly recommend that book on store shelves this week. But like you, I checked out some books from last week as well. Yeah, I finally read Primordial. And this is by one of my favorite artists, Jeff Lemire, and he's teaming up with a guy he's worked on before, that is Andrea Sorrentino. And wow, what a great book! Like it's Jeff Lemire can write almost anything. This one has got that kind of 1960s CIA Cold War space race going on. And it's just a very, very cool like build up. You know, something's happened with the NASA project. It's almost like NASA's getting shut down, and a retired a professor gets brought in, and he's supposed to close down the project. But he uncovers some startling information about the space program, and he's like, "Hey, you said that this rocket that went up with the Russian dog Sputnik and the Sputnik that they didn't come back, and the Americans sent up a monkey." Said, "Hey, you said that they exploded or they didn't come back, but there's now proof that they are still alive." And of course, there's kind of an X-Files vibe with a Mr. X finding out and stuff. Very, very cool book. The art is fantastic. This is, I think, the third time that Sorrentino has teamed up with Jeff Lemire. Like, they work really well together. I'm going to dub them like the chocolate and peanut butter team. Two great things that go great together. Always nice in comics when you get a couple of people doing that and working really well together. But I think Sorrentino, like, he's multi-talented, and this is a great link to our very first segment, and that is our comic book spotlight. Our comic book of the week that both Jesse and I agree on is the brand new DC title, Batman the Imposter. And this is a great book. It's brought to us by DC's Black Label, and it is written by Mattson. Is it Tomlin? Am I pronouncing that last name right?
Tomlin, I believe, yeah.
Tomlin. And as I said, art by Andrea Sorrentino. So if you know the Mattson Tomlin name, you know that he is one of the writers that is bringing us the very new Batman movie, The Batman. And hey, I think just today they dropped that movie is coming out March 22nd. So that's just around the corner. That's early on in the new year. Yeah, and they dropped 2 posters for this movie. I'm gonna say the one on the left is definitely Batman, but who do you think this is on the right? He looks like he's definitely holding a letter or a clue file or something. Like, is that supposed to be someone we know?
I don't know. I don't know,
but definitely very cool to see that. Maybe tomorrow with DC Fandom coming, we're supposed to get a look at another official trailer. So, I hope you guys are going to watch that, and maybe we'll check it out and also do a quick review on that tomorrow. But on to Batman the Imposter. I picked up the other cover of that, great one we just showed. And this one, you can see right by this art, you see he's kind of got, Batman has kind of got that type of body armor look that the Batman costume has, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see a little bit more of it here. Just a fantastic cover. And yeah, what a very, very cool book. Jesse, what do you think of this one?
I loved it. If this is anything how the Batman the movie is going to be, I'm totally down. Speaking about the costume, I found a picture and I put them both side by side. Sorry, it's not that one. They look very, very similar.
Very similar.
If you see the shoulder pads, it is the Batman. I'm almost 100% sure that this is Robert Pattinson's Batman in this comic.
Yeah, definitely. Especially how Sorrentino is drawing Bruce Wayne in this particular book. But what is the Batman the Imposter all about? Well, we're seeing a Batman in a dark, gritty Gotham, and somebody is impersonating Batman, putting on the cape and the cowl, but this time the person has been caught on camera murdering somebody. And when I say murdering, he literally, execution style, lines up 3 people on top of a building. They've got hoods on, they can't be seen, they don't know what's going on, and he kicks them off of the building. So what happens here? GCPD's putting together a Batman task force to track down and find Batman. And there's lots of hints dropping about how just different this Gotham is. There's no Commissioner Gordon. We find out that Gordon has lost a lot of respect, and that all of the GCPD has basically been looked down upon because they would light the bat signal and let Batman kind of do their job. One of my favorite things about this book, though, is the different points of view that it's written by. It's not written by Batman's point of view. First character we kind of meet is Leslie Tompkins, and they've switched up the Leslie Thompson persona, and maybe that's to kind of coincide with the movie, and I think I'm okay with that. We then meet a new detective, a female detective named Wong, and I loved her perspective and reading her stuff, and then again meeting other new characters as well. It just seems very, very down to earth and realistic, almost too realistic for me. I do still like a little bit of that fantasy and superhero-ness into the book, but this was written in a very grounded way that I'm like, hey, this is actually a nice take on it. Like how they're talking about how does Batman get across the city so fast, and people report seeing steel lines where there weren't steel lines, so he's got grapple lines to kind of just traverse, and he hides motorcycles all across Gotham. And that's actually one of the ways the detectives are tracking them. They're like, hey, we found 12 of these motorcycles that all have the exact same VIN number, but it's all filed down. So it's actually, very, very cool. But I think best of all, I really like the angle on what if Batman, or who is under that identity, is doing things in order for people to profit. And I don't want to go too much more into that, but there's a very, very cool, almost not conspiracy theory, but it's a theory of how they're going to find out what's Batman doing. Is there anybody who's losing because of what's happening to Batman, because if he's causing property damage, or there are people that are actually gaining because of somebody else's downfall? So a solid book. This was book 1. Like I said, it's DC's Black Label, so it's going to be probably a little bit more adult oriented. There might be some cursing, might be some swear words, so might not be for your absolute young reader, but definitely a more mature reader. And I thought it was very, very good.
Now, before we move on, did you catch all the little nuggets from the movie that they placed into this book?
Only a bit. Why don't you bring up some of the ones that you found?
So a throwaway line, they brought up, I got to go talk to the skeleton mask gang. In the trailer, we saw a gang of people wearing masks that looked like a skeleton.
Yep.
What else did they bring up? They brought up Commissioner Gordon's been fired. Alfred has left Batman. So let's just say this is a continuation, or this is in the Batman Matt Reeves universe. I'm going to say this is probably year 2 Batman.
Well, you know what? Oh, go ahead.
we're going to see year one Batman in the movie. Also, in the book, they brought up little Batman escapades. He blew up Wayne Enterprises by accident. We see that in the movie trailer when the car comes in and blows up. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a year two Batman in this book, and we're going to see year one Batman in the movie.
Yeah, I think that's great. And honestly, like, one of my big pet peeves is when movies come out that are based on comics, but they're different on the screen than the comic. There's usually not something for somebody to pick up and enjoy that's close enough to the comic, to the movie that they just watched. But I like that maybe by the time this series is finished in a couple months, two more issues, that trade paperback will hopefully be out by January, February. And then when the movie comes out and somebody loves that version of Batman, they can come into the shop and I'll be able to hand them, hey, you're going to want to check out this book because written by the writer responsible for the movie or one of the writers and clearly set in that universe. So that's a pleasant surprise for DC to be setting it up. And kudos for them. I guess they knew when this movie was going to happen in March. So hopefully everything stays on track and the theaters can stay open and whatnot. So
I wouldn't even wait for the trade, to be honest with you. I wouldn't sleep on this book at all. If
for sure.
If you are interested in the Batman movie, I'd say pick up this book. If you like Gideon Falls, like look at this image here. When I first saw it, I thought this is Gideon Falls. I had to snap myself out of it and realize it was Batman, right?
Yeah.
This one honestly,
too. Yeah, the art Sorrentino, he's proved himself to be a stellar artist, and now he's almost got that reputation of being a little bit of like a more of a horror genre artist. But I'm like, no, this guy cut his teeth on the Green Arrow series with Jeff Lemire. Like this guy can draw superhero stuff. He just draws them more realistic and gritty, and I think this is a great look for Batman. So yeah, highly recommend this. We've got issues available at the shop. Just fantastic. Like Jesse says, don't sleep on it. If you're a Batman fan or curious about the movie, head to your local comic shop and pick it up. You don't want to miss it. Black Label has yet to disappoint so far, especially their Batman stuff. So definitely check that out. And speaking of Batman, we're going to continue with this DC themed. We mentioned DC fandom. So our creepy comic for you to read this October is none other than DC's Deceased. And wow, what a book that this is. This is a fantastic read. Look at that image of Batman almost zombified. Look at our heroes zombified. But let me right off the bat dismiss any notions that you might have that, oh, this is just a copy of Marvel Zombies. No. This is definitely not a copy of Marvel Zombies. This is a heartfelt, heart-wrenching, terrifying scenario that happens in the DC universe, and it is so well written. Tom Taylor, he's been writing DC comics for many years. I'm going to say past 5 years, not just DC though, Marvel. This guy is fantastic. And I got to say, I've slept on him. Like I read Deceased, I read Injustice, but it wasn't until he really, like I started reading him on Nightwing and Kal-El, son of Superman, Superman, son of Kal-El, sorry, that I've really like appreciated his stuff. But then going back and for this, video to check out Deceased, how smart was this book? It's fantastic. Jesse, you've read it. Like, what do you think of this one?
I loved it. If you compared it to Marvel Zombies, I would say Marvel Zombies is probably the elementary school version of this, and this is the high school version. This is a lot better than anything I read in Marvel Zombies.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, like the art is Trevor Hirschine. Really more realistic, again gritty, because it's got that, it's going to be vampires. But let me break it down. Let me tell you a little bit of the plot and premise of this book. So hopefully you guys all know who Darkseid is and the apocalypse, and Darkseid is always after the anti-life equation, and our heroes finally defeat Darkseid and they stop him from triggering the anti-life equation. However, when it gets interacted with Victor Stone, the cyborg, the anti-life equation changes. And now it becomes this digital virus. So you can get the virus by looking at any digital image. And poor Cyborg, he's tapped into everything, the internet, all things on Earth. He brings this virus to Earth. So think about it. If you're looking at your phone, boom, you're turned. Now, it's the anti-life equation. Once you get turned, your purpose as this new zombie or whatever we're calling them is to spread that anti-life. You are getting rid of all life. So now it can be transmitted from the bloodstream. So we have heroes just decimated and taken out in the first wave, having no idea what's hit them. But the cool thing is like once these heroes get turned, they also retain their powers and how to use them. And that's what makes this book terrifying, because you start having the heroes start rallying and they start realizing like, oh my God, how do we deal with so-and-so if they get turned? And there's this moment where, the two Flashes have hidden. They're not doing anything. They're not being heroes because Batman has contacted them and told him he's figured out what's happened. And he's like, do not go out, because if you get turned, the whole planet's destroyed. You will spread this thing so fast. And the heroes heed this. So you get this really ominous sense of what's going on. But there's some really cool bright spots in it too. I would say two favorite moments, and I'm going to spoil one of them because this came out a little while ago, but hopefully it entices you guys out there to read this, check out this series. But Hal Jordan comes down and he's been turned and he wants to take over, or not take over, he wants to do what he's doing, spread the anti-life equation. And he goes for Oliver Queen and Dina Lance, and who's Black Canary. And Dina sees Ollie just in trouble. She lets out her canary's cry and just boom, puts down Hal. And in this moment, as you can see on the screen, the Ring chooses Dina Lance to become the new Green Lantern of Earth. And it is fantastic. Like what she does with the Ring is just awesome. And unfortunately, Superman's too late to come down, try and save Hal. But Dina's like, get this ring off of me. I don't want this. Superman lands and he's like, hey, we're going to need it. Don't get rid of that. So yeah, fantastic read. So many cool parts, lots of just gut-wrenching moments, like Superman, flying to Smallville to check on his parents, and unfortunate. I don't know how many spoilers I want to give up, but there's just so many cool things in this. Like you've got to read this book. The Amazons play a huge part in it. We see kind of the three bastions, these three pillars of recognizable places. Like even if you don't know a lot about DC, the places that this book goes, it goes to Gotham City, goes to Metropolis, you see the Fortress of Solitude, and you see Themyscira, which is Paradise Island. So you already basically know enough. Like you could be a novice DC reader and still get this book. It's like I said, it's heart-wrenching. There's some very cool moments. Mr. Terrific was awesome. We see the magic users come in and do their thing. But yeah, just
There's
really
3
cool.
volumes of it, right?
Yeah, so this is volume 1. They do Deceased Dead Planet, and then they do the Deceased about the villains. But the first one, even if you just to read one, the first one is fantastic. Jesse, what was your favorite moment in this first book?
I'm going to spoil a thing too. You got one, so I technically get a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
This was my favorite part in the whole comic.
Yeah.
We see Aquaman turn, and he's got, what is that? That's the Kraken, right?
The Kraken.
He's got the Kraken under his control, and he's coming after our heroes. And my boy, Oliver Queen, shoots his bow and hits him. We took out the dialogue there, but it's something like, I just shot an arrow from a mile away, and Batman says I'm useless. And then he goes on to say something else about Batman.
Yeah.
But no, I like how this book has kind of put the secondary characters on the center stage. They've gotten rid of Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and they've let their secondary characters shine. Like Unkillable, I think that's the 3rd volume, is centered around Red Hood, and he's got a band of villains together, and he's trying to keep these villains in line as well as save a bus full of children, right? So all of the volumes are top of the line. Very
good. And why we're calling it the creepy comics is because, like I said, there are some very scary moments in this. Not your jump scares or anything like that, but it is very visceral because you're getting lots of shall we say limbs removed and lots of guts. So it's not for the faint of heart, but it's definitely a scary book, and it's got that creepy vibe. So our creepy recommendation for you for this Halloween is to check out Deceased by DC Comics, available in softcover and hardcover. There are choices about, and there are many volumes, but please definitely check out the first one. You will be very much so impressed. So next up, we have done our comic segments. We love comics, but another thing that we absolutely love in the shop are our collectibles, and we have all kinds of collectibles. So our new segment is lights, camera, and action figures. So you got to say it with that epic voice there. So this week we've got in a brand new Snake Eyes figure. This is done by the collectible company 30, and they are known for making some really cool, intricate, detailed figurines. This is an amazing rendition of Snake Eyes, and it's not the movie Snake Eyes, okay? As you can see, this is more of the classic Ninja Commando Snake Eyes. Lots of accessories with this guy. You've got swords, you've got guns, you've got grenades, lots of different hands. He's got knives. See these poses in the picture? You can actually put the figure in these poses. It is a fantastic figure. They have taken some liberties. As you can see, it's not the exact same design, but when you look at this character, you can readily see that it is Snake Eyes. Look at this. Amazing figure. The also nice thing about these figures is it's a 1/12 scale figure, and it is a lot more affordable than your Hot Toys figure. Not knocking Hot Toys figures. I collect them and love them myself. But a figure like this from 30 is coming in at about $200 Canadian. So a little bit more affordable. And there is going to be a Storm Shadow coming out to match that particular figure. So, wow. It is, again, really looking forward to that figure coming out so I can have the pair of them. Now, I'm kind of a sucker. Like, I'm an old school guy. I grew up on G.I. Joe, so a lot of the new iterations of G.I. Joe toys I really enjoy. I know you picked up some of the G.I. Joe classified line, Jesse. You like those still?
Yes.
Yeah, Hasbro, basically did a 6-inch G.I. Joe line, modernized them, look really cool. So I'm collecting those as well. I got the movie from the G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe Retaliation, those Snake Eyes figures. I just love Snake Eyes. I've got Snake Eyes statues, Snake Eyes figures. I was happy to add this one to my collection. It is worthy. Like I said, it's different enough, yet similar, so that you can see that it is Snake Eyes. Sometimes you see a figure and you're like, oh, that's Snake Eyes in name, or that's the character in name only. They've kind of gone, maybe too far. But yeah, it's just iconic. Like, it still screams Snake Eyes. And that's what I love about it. Now, also, if I can just indulge a little bit more on my background here with 30, I was introduced to them several years ago. The first figures I got by them were the Halo Reach figures. They did an Emil and they did a Carter. And those figures were really cool, right? They were a little bit flimsy, though, with their suits. But each iteration of the figures that I bought after that, 30 continues to get better and better. So my next purchases for them were the Titanfall figures. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those, but it was a figure. And man, this thing is like, a 1.5 feet tall, fully articulated with lights and accessories, click joints. Amazing. You really get your money worth with those figures, and they take the time on the detail. That's what I love about these guys. And they've done so many properties. They've got Game of Thrones figures. I think they did Breaking Bad figures, so they get really good on the likenesses and stuff. So these guys are just fans of what they do, and they make a really good product. So if you haven't heard of 3-0 before, check them out. Check out their website. Look at some of the images you see online, and I would highly recommend their figures. They do make quality figures, and I know there's a lot of people making figures in that category, but it's money well spent if you go with this company, because if you hadn't heard from them before, sometimes it's hard to drop a couple $100 on a figure and you don't know about it. But trust me, it's they're very good. I own several, and I highly recommend them. So very cool company.
It really does look like a hot toy. Like if you look at the articulation on them, it's seamless. You can't even see joints, right? The classified series, you got all the leg joints and ball swivels and stuff. This one's seamless. Like it's really nice.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. And also it's mixed medium. You're going to have plastic. You're going to also have kind of that rubber under the suit. You're also having some metal parts on there. So they do a really good job, mixed medium. And so again, I love it. I love that he's got his classic Uzi. Nothing says Commando Snake Eyes like the classic Uzi that he's come with. And like I said, it's a nice modernization of the character, yet it's still enough that you would recognize it and go, hey, that's Snake Eyes. And again, that's being that subtle and changing it seems to be hard for some people to do and some lines to do. They don't pull it off, but definitely that's a cool one. So that is our first episode of the new segment, Lights, Camera, Action Figure. And we're going to bring you all sorts of collectibles down the road. It won't just be action figures. Might be some statues and stuff in there too, because we get all of these things at the store. There's lots of cool things to choose from. There's something literally for everybody. And we just like to spotlight what we are digging that's coming into the store this week. Thank God it's Friday, end of the week, so we're showing you the goods. Also, we're going to show you what comes up tomorrow, which is Saturday. This is how we roll. We are spotlighting. As you can see from this image, it's all about Games Workshop's Warhammer 40,000. The Black Templars return. They are getting a brand new codex. The codex is the army book, and brand new models. They have been gone to the Primaris Rubicon. So what that means is, for you non-Games Workshop players, and the Space Marines are basically being genetically upgraded. Now look at this guy. This is the Emperor's Champion. This is the finest warrior in the Black Templar army. This guy will call out into single combat the toughest opponent on the battlefield and slay him. And he is literally the Emperor's sword. That is what he is. The Black Templars are a crusading army. They are the weapon of the Emperor, and this guy literally is the Emperor's sword. So Games Workshop is bringing this army box out. It's getting released tomorrow. But look at these figures. They are absolutely fantastic. They have a couple different troop choices, what they call a Primaris Initiate. Initiate is one of the battle brothers that is joining the crusade. So he has just earned his battle honors, and he is ripe for war. I got to say something really cool about what Games Workshop is doing. Jesse, if you can go back to that picture just briefly. No, it's really cool because for the longest time with Games Workshop minis, they have been very, shall I say, for the humans, it's been very monolithic, okay? But as you can see here, this face sculpt is clearly someone, a person of color. And if I am going to say, obviously, a black person. And as a person of color who has collected Warhammer, this is a great thing. And you're going to see it in some of the other pictures. They are adding changes to their product line to reflect the diversity of all the people that play this game. And it is really cool to see. We've got more female characters, head sculpts in the Imperial Guard army, in the Dark Eldar, in the Eldar, even in the Tau range, they're putting female head sculpts. So again, that's a really great thing from Games Workshop. I really love this head sculpt, and you're going to see it in a couple of the other photos as well as we scroll on through. But I'll give you a description of each of those. The leather picture that we just had up is the Dreadnought. This is a Redemptor Dreadnought, a powerful suit of armor piloted by a fallen space marine who has been too wounded to continue his battle, and he is encased. His spirit guides this machine, and he can still continue his crusade. So fantastic. This is one of the few models in this box set that had actually already come out, but it does have the different Black Templar accessories that can go with it. We'll move on to the next picture here. These are the Neophytes. The Neophytes are, shall we say, the guys who are up and coming. These guys have not proven themselves. They have not earned the right to wear their marine armor. You can see they're lightly armored here. But again, let's just take a look at those different head sculpts. Even something as what you would think of not important as hair sculpts. Look at this. We've got 4 different hair sculpts just on characters. We've got diversity in these ranks. If you were to look at Space Marines from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, man, you'd probably have 3 styles of head, and one of them would have been bald. The other guy would have been a brush cut, and that's about it. So again, this is so good to see. And just look at the detail on these models, the diversity in their poses. Very, very dynamic, very, very cool. Also, a little bit of lore for the Space Marine Black Templars. They are one of the only chapters, and a chapter is kind of a sect of Space Marines that allows initiates and neophytes to fight together in one battle squad. So that means you've got your hardened battle brother teamed up with your initiate in the same squad. So very, very cool. It's also one of the unique things about the Black Templars. So they're keeping that fluff and that story to it. But the Black Templars also have some of the finest veterans, and those guys are called Sword Brethren. Great models. Sword Brethren are led by the Marshal. This model here, I gotta say, probably my favorite model in the box. I'm like, just look at that guy. That guy, look at his face. He's on a quest for a righteous thirst for vengeance right there. Amazing, amazing. Like, you just feel the intensity on it. I love, he's just got his sword arm back. He's ready to just slice and dice. As well, he's armed with a plasma pistol. So he knows, he's going to shoot things that are coming in close. He's going to finish you off in close combat. I don't play Black Templars. I'm a Tau player, and I'm building Space Wolves. But I definitely have to get this model for myself, whether I'm going to convert it or not. But again, that head sculpt is amazing. Love the sword, like everything about it. And as you can see, that like Black Templars, they're crusaders, as I said. So you can kind of see some of the religious iconography here. He's got the cross. He's got a skeleton that must be an exalted, somebody who's fallen on his back. So that's a little bit gothic, and we've got like that little, as it called, a censure, that's, or an incense thing that, so again, just 40K blends the future and the gothic to create these really, really cool grim dark minis. But yeah, I just love this model. Can't say enough about that one, man. But yeah, so cool. This year, as I'm telling you, that the Primaris Sword Brethren, look at this guy. Like, he just looks like a knight, just personified and fired up to that future. Look at him, like encased in his righteous armor. His sword, he cannot lose it. You can see it's chained to his hand. Like, it's not leaving his grip. Yeah, love what they've done with this range. It looks so cool. I know you've delved a little bit into 40K, Jesse, and you've done painting up some Ultramarines. What do you feel about the ones you see here?
I think the Sword Brethren, that one's my new favorite. I love the way it looks. I love the pose, how he's holding the sword. I think I might have to get my hands on some of those and try painting them. The
cool thing with those guys are the Sword Brethren come in a box, and I think the new box will be about 5. Now, one thing I need to mention, Games Workshop's releasing this army box, as it says, it's coming out tomorrow. You're going to get those models that we've shown you there. Also, you're getting the limited edition codex in that box, so you will be amongst the first people to read up about the crusading Black Templars. You're also going to get the limited edition set of data cards, and those are things that you use in the game to do your objectives and any type of strategic moves that your Templars can do. It's all handy in those cards. So that box set comes out early, and then in the following weeks, they will release those models separately and individually. But if you want to get your hands on them right away, you get that army bundle. Now, after that, you will not be getting the limited edition codex. It will be the regular codex, but it will all have the same contents, except it'll be a different cover. And also same thing with the cards. The cards will be available, but it will be different. So yeah, such a cool game. Warhammer 40K, I think, has got a lot of people through this pandemic. We know a lot of people at the store have been painting their armies and building new armies and stuff. And it's just been such a big part of our store over the past 20 years. Such a good community of people coming in and just playing or teaching other people. It's a fantastic hobby, and you don't have to do all parts of it. You could be in it for just reading the background and the lore. People buy the codexes just for that. Or you could be a builder and a painter. You might never roll the dice, but you enjoy just painting and making a diorama or display. Or you could be right in it. You could be a meta gamer, somebody who just goes to the tournaments. You're following all what the armies are the top of the line, what units are the best, what battle strategies you can use. Or you could be any combination of those things. The game offers so much, as well as they have many different lines. And over the course of our show, TGIF, whenever there's something new for Games Workshop, we're going to bring you a sneak peek of it here and tell you about it, because again, it is such a wonderful hobby, and it's a hobby that you might start, maybe you put down, but I can guarantee you'll always come back to it, whether it's because you've gotten to be a better painter or better understanding the game, or move to an area where there's a gaming club or more people play. So that's one of the very, very cool things about the hobby. And I know you dipped your toe into it over the pandemic as well.
I have never played a game. I really want to try playing a game, but I have been painting up Space Marines. I actually have one here. Tell me what you think. Can you see that?
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, that's really, really good. Am I getting a Buzz Lightyear vibe from this guy?
It is. I based him off Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, I saw it with the purple gun. I think that's what gave it away. Because other than that, it's a really cool color scheme, right? And green and white there. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yes. And would you like to see other people's paintings? What if we did an Instagram hashtag, something like Heroes World TGIF, and we can post up our minis, post up comic books we're reading that we want to share, and maybe we can feature them on our show.
That would be a great idea. So yeah, hey, Heroes World TGIF, hashtag that on Instagram and put a picture. We'll go through them. We'll see it. If it's something you've worked on or something you're proud of, put it up. Or hey, if it's a comic book that you've read or a series you're reading, let us know there too, and we will put some of those up in our show, and just let us know if you share it, if it's okay for us to share it too, because we definitely want to only do it if you guys are okay with it. So there are our 4 segments, but we're doing this show live, so we're gonna go and take some of the comments that we've got, and maybe we're gonna answer any questions that have come up from, I'm going to call it the peanut gallery. All right. So let's see what we've got from the people that have posted comments here. All right. So Reinhold, he says, early 3-0 were definitely less than ideal, but their recent stuff is way better. 100% agree with that statement. As I said, the couple Halo Reach guys that I had, they were great. They looked like the model. They had the accessories with them that were all print. However, because of the joints, and also they had kind of that synthetic plastic, you'd put them holding the gun, and over time, it would just it would just loop down because the joint couldn't stay kind of clicked together. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But their new stuff's fantastic here. Oh, here we go. So Lewis has got a couple here. Mass Effect, Commander Shepard was good. Legion, not too good. Chappie was okay, but had weak points. Yeah, Chappie was a great figure that they did as well. I actually felt that the Chappie figure looked better than it did in the movies, and that's really good because I think they did a lot of practical effects, so that's how detailed it was. But yeah, definitely some of their bigger robot stuff, like definitely Bumblebee. Like I said, the Titanfall stuff. Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Lewis, if you could take some shots of those and put the Heroes World TGIF, I'd love to feature them if we could, especially the Mass Effect ones. I've never heard of the Mass Effect figures. The only ones I can think of are the little 6-inch ones that I think it was McFarlane that made.
No,
them.
it was DC Direct did those figures. Yeah, I have a whole set of them. They didn't even finish the whole team, which is kind of sad, but that's all right. There's there's always future, because Mass Effect is hopefully they're working on Mass Effect 4, so maybe we'll get a whole line of all the different figures and such. But yeah, no, that's very, very cool. So want to thank and shout out to all the people that joined us today. Ryan Holt, we've got Falzad, Shorty Paint Studios. How you doing, Mark? Pleasure to have you. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this content. TGIF, Heroes World. Thank God it's Fridays. And that hashtag, make it work for you. Put up some stuff. But stick around, because on our channel, we have got lots and lots of great content for you. Sundays, we bring you the Heroes World podcast. That's where John, Stuart, Rob, and myself, along with sometimes other special guests, we will bring you what's new in the entertainment world. What are we watching? Our opinions on the TV shows and the movies, especially anything geek, pop culture, comic book related. That's on that show. On Monday, John and Rob go live with the Sidekick Show, talking about what's new in the store, as well as throwback movie reviews, anything genre related. Those guys have so much fun. There's lots of crowd interaction too. Highly recommend checking out the Sidekick Show. Also, Thursday, and these are live. Monday and Thursday are live. So what I missed, that's Chris Ho hosting with Pat, Rob, and John, talking about your week of geek news. What might you have missed? Talking about what's hot at the box office, what's new in rumor land, and everything else good. And today, Friday, our favorite day of the week, TGIF, join myself and Jesse, bringing you a rundown of what we're liking in comics, what's new at the store that we're liking, as well as all kinds of fun things like creepy comics and who will win. This show is going to be brought to you live every Friday right here on Twitch, with replays on YouTube on Saturday. Also, visit us if you want to see us in real life. Check us out in store, 8601 Warden Avenue. That's in Unionville, Ontario. Or hit us up online, Heroes World Online. Check out our socials, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch. Heroes World Online will get you everywhere. So if you can, please like, subscribe, and maybe consider hitting that bell to get notifications for all the new stuff that is popping up with Heroes World Online. Thank you very much, and have a great, great day.